Hey guys, it's Ion Complex, one of the lead developers with Mystery Games. For today's tutorial, we're going to be actually building a fully functional falling block game. Now, what do I mean by fully functional? I've seen a lot of different tutorials online that say things like make your first game, and after you go through the entire process, watching the whole video and building it all out, you pretty much just end up with a character standing on an empty base plate holding some sort of a weapon that's shooting yellow bricks across the map. And this is not that. We're going to be creating a working foundation of an experience that you can take, mold however you would like it to be, and publish it yourself. Now, before we get started with all that, guys, I would like to ask you that if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. At Mystery Games, it's our goal that the content we're releasing is going to be fun, it's going to be helpful, and most of all, it's going to be entertaining. And it's your involvement that makes all of that possible. Your subscriptions and likes help make sure that everyone else is able to enjoy and learn along with this content to help grow the Roblox developer community to what we want it to be. We're working hard every week to put out how-to videos and game development updates, and we don't want you to miss those either. So once again, if you don't mind, pause the video for a quick second and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now that that's out of the way, let's jump in. Alright, first things first, let's hop in the studio and start a basic base plate. Once that's in, the first thing I want to do is go through and check my settings real quick and just make sure they are as I would expect them to be. And that is my rotation of 1125 and my move of 1/4 of a stud. And now that that's done, let's place part. We're going to go ahead and rename that part to falling brick. In its properties, we're going to change its size to 12, 1, 12. And we are going to anchor it. This is going to represent our falling block. So the next thing we're going to do is actually jump into some script work. We're going to do that right now. I know it's not going to make a whole lot of sense as to why we're jumping into that right now, but hopefully it will in just a minute. So we want to select our falling brick and we want to put in a script, not a local script. You need to make sure this is a server-side script because what's being done here needs to happen on all of the clients, not just your own. For scripting, if you go to the description of the YouTube video, there is a link to my GitHub. The GitHub has all of the scripts that we're going to be using in this video. So if you don't want to type it out, feel free to go over to the GitHub and copy and paste it. That's what it's there for. So I am going to paste in from the GitHub, and I'm going to rename this script fetch script. Perfect. And all it's basically doing is going out into replicated storage and grabbing something named falling block script and cloning it into itself. Now with that done, we'll go ahead and duplicate this, separate them. I'm going to rename the duplicated one to starting block. And its settings, we're going to make it 25, 1, 25. For its script, I'm just going to add an S in the front, so it says sfetch script. And again, from the GitHub, we'll just paste in. The only differences between these two scripts is that it's pulling in starter block script instead of the falling block script. Now that that's done, we'll go down to replicated storage. And we will add 2 scripts in here. First one is going to be named falling block script. Second one is going to be named starting block script. This is the falling block script, and if you look it over, it essentially names itself. It sets a variable of touch to 0, meaning it hasn't been touched yet. And when it's touched, it connects the begin fade function. The begin fade function says that if it has not yet been touched, it will print that it has been. set the variable to 1. This keeps it from happening over and over again as a player standing on it or multiple players jump on it. It changes the floor color to red and starts working on the transparency. Right now it's moving up 10% every quarter of a second. You can modify how much the transparency changes or how much the speed, how fast it is, the speed of it, by modifying the weight value or the transparency addition values. Starting block script we'll grab from GitHub as well. And this is doing the exact same thing, it's just a slower transition. We're going 0.1 as well, but we're going at a second in between each change. Alright, now we've got 2 blocks that should respond to us when we do things, so let's go ahead and just test that out real fast to make sure it's working. Make sure you have your output open. In case any errors come up, you can see them and correct them. So the larger one would be our starting block. The smaller one would be essentially the game's falling blocks. And you can see it does begin to fade. We don't want people just standing on the starting block the whole time. And the game piece responds as well. Perfect. Remember, if for some reason yours does not respond exactly the way it just did there, go back through your code, make sure you're using normal scripts, not local scripts. So once that's done, we're going to start duplicating out this smaller block. This game's going to be built to support 8 players, so I'm going to be making a 16 by 16 grid of these blocks using duplicate as my friend. One thing I wanted to mention real quick before we move any further, the reason we did that cloning in case it hasn't become obvious is that as we grow this floor, if we had the functional script in every single block, anytime we wanted to make changes to it, we would have to change the script in every single block. But instead, by cloning it, we are essentially saying we only have to change it in one place, which reduces our overhead drastically. And I'm just using the duplicate function. You can see it's just slowly spreading these apart, trying to keep the spacing the same. Beautiful. 16 by 16. Next thing we want to do is we're going to start building this. We do have 8 players, so we're going to start making this an octagon. We'll accomplish that by grabbing this center set. You can see I'm leaving off the final 2. Duplicate and expand. Then I'm going to do that exact same thing, leaving off the final 2. And then one last time. Now you can grab all those blocks you just made. Duplicate them and shift them over to the other side. Don't worry about overlapping things that might already be there. We can move them later. Alright. Do something a little bit different here. I want to select all of these ones. Then I'm going to come over, hold Control, and do the same thing to the other side. Essentially, we just want to copy all these blocks again. Duplicate them, rotate them. Alright, perfect. This will be our game floor. So the next thing we want to do is create our starting platforms. That is these 25 by 25 blocks that we created. I'm going to center the first one. If I knew how to center, that would be great. Center the first one between the 5th and 6th column there. And again, we're going to duplicate. Same idea as here, we're duplicating that clone script inside of it as well, so any changes we make to the starting blocks will happen to all of them. Alright, real fast, I'm going to go and take these a spawn and put a spawn on top of it. That way, as we duplicate these again in a minute, the spawns will go along with it. Alright, duplicate. There's 4 players. And you can set this up for as many as you want. Duplicate. Duplicate. And rotate one more time. So now we have a game board and we have 8 starting zones. So real quick, I'm just going to go in here and grab all my spawn locations. I'm going to set their transparency to 1 so I don't even see them. Turn off their can collide so that you just fall through them. And actually, I don't even like seeing the decals, so I just go through and delete those as well. So now if I join, there should be nothing for me to be able to stand on to stay alive. Perfect. So this is the point where most how-to YouTube videos stop. We're not going to stop here. We're going to keep on going. There are some scripts that we're going to be bringing in from the GitHub and a little bit of configuration we're going to do in order to make this actually a functional game. These scripts are not mine. These are scripts that I pulled from a Roblox article on Battle Royale and simply adapted to the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish here, since the game style is essentially the same. Last one alive wins. Like I said in the previous video, I love the idea of reusing things. No sense recreating the wheel if you don't have to, as long as it fits your function. So the first thing we're going to do is go to your workspace, and we're going to create a folder. And we're going to rename that folder Spawn Locations. As we're going through renaming, all the naming capitalization is kind of important because the scripts are going to be looking for certain things. If you name yours differently, just make sure you go through the scripts and modify it to match. We're going to move all the spawn locations into the spawn locations folder. And then we're going to select everything inside of the workspace that we've created, except for the base plate. And we're going to put it into a model. So now the entire map is inside of a model. This is going to be helpful in the future when we're trying to build different maps, if you want to create some way of changing the maps and things of that nature so that every time the players load in, they load into a different scenario. You can do that. Under Workspace, we're going to create an additional folder. We're going to name it Arena. And we're going to put the model inside the arena. The next thing we want to do is actually create a lobby. This is going to be a place where people who join the game while one's already in session spawn into, or players who fall through the map, they spawn to. I enjoy creating one that kind of floats above the map. That way the players can still watch the gameplay that's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste mine into here so I'm not having to recreate the whole wheel. You can see I've got a folder named Lobby. I have a single spawn inside of it named Start Spawn. And then I have 5 parts that simply make up a box. A floor and 4 walls. How you choose to make your lobby is up to you. You can do things inside the lobby, put in news, put in links to your Discord, whatever you'd like. The next thing we're going to do is go down to replicated storage. We're going to create a folder in here named display values. And inside display values, we need 3 different values. We're going to create an int value named players left, a string value named status, and another int value named time left. These will be used for the label that we're going to place at the top of the map to tell people how many people are left in the game and how much time is left in the round. The next thing we want to do is go back and grab our model from the arena, copy it, and paste it into replicated storage. We're doing this because the model that's in replicated storage is what's going to be respawned every time the game session restarts. This makes it so that all the bricks come back, so that we're not replaying a game on an already destroyed map. And then inside server script service, we're going to create a script. This is a normal script named Game Manager. Game Manager script is available on the GitHub, so go ahead and grab that and paste it in there. Underneath server storage, you're going to create 2 folders, one named events and one named module scripts. Under events, you're going to create 2 bindable events, one named match end and one named match start. Under module scripts, you're going to create 5 module scripts. Again, all of this code is available on the GitHub. Just name them appropriately and go grab and copy and paste it in there. You can fly through these scripts to try and understand what's going on in them, but essentially what's happening is Game Manager is operating your entire experience. It's what's keeping the whole process rotating. Display Manager is what's changing what you see on the display. We haven't created it yet, but we will here in the near future. Game Settings is where you set your intermission duration, your match duration, if you want this is all in seconds. So you can change your match duration to 1,000 seconds. The floor wouldn't last that long, so that's perfect. Minimum players is used to describe how many players need to be in the lobby before a new game will start. We're going to set that to 2. That way at least 2 people are playing against each other. Intermission duration is set to describe how long you're waiting in the lobby before it checks to see if there's a minimum number of players again. So if you have 1 player in the lobby, it's going to wait 10 seconds and then it's going to check. If there's still 1 player, it's going to wait 10 more seconds and then it's going to check. Transition time is between when it identifies that there are 2 people in the game and when the game starts. So it's that time in between I now have 2 players and game start. And it's also the time between the end of the game and when everyone gets kicked back to the lobby. Match Manager is used to control the individual matches. Player Manager does exactly as it sounds. It's what controls the players within the matches. It moves them around and it does all the spawning in the game and spawning into the lobby. Timer is script that is used to create a timer to keep track of all of the time. Like I said, feel free to pick through those scripts and get an understanding of what's going on in it, because if you want to change the way the game functions, those scripts are going to be where it's at. And then under Starter GUI, you're going to create a screen GUI. And inside that screen GUI, we're going to create a text label. We're going to name it status text. You can go ahead and position that wherever you would like it. Give it enough room. I have mine pretty much just offset from center. You can see my settings here. And that should be it. Now when we play our game, my character is spawned into the lobby. I'm waiting. You can see it says waiting for players. I'm not down on the game map. But because I'm the only player, I'm going to be stuck here forever. So let's go ahead and change that script real quick to say one player instead of two. We'll go over to game settings, where it says minimum players 2. We'll just change that to 1 and save it. And so that we can see the game actually end and what happens when the match ends, let's change the match duration to 15 seconds. Obviously, you're going to want to set that back before you publish your game. So we're waiting in the lobby. A new model has loaded. You just saw that happen. The game has started. We would play, win or lose, whatever happens. The game has ended. The game has ended, and now it's respawned me in the lobby, and you can see that the map is still broken. That's why we have those models replicated. The change happens when it changes to get ready. You can see that, and the model has fixed itself, and it's ready for the next round. One of the last things we want to do to make this game not pointless is get rid of the base plate. Now you'll be able to see that when a player falls through the map, they respawn in the lobby instead of respawning into the game. And that is it. This is just the basic groundwork of a fully functional falling block game. The rest of this is completely up to you. This game will be available on Roblox. I'm going to put a link to it down in the description so you can check it out if you're interested before you go through the work of making it. Links to the full game in case you don't feel like actually putting in the effort of doing this yourself, and all of the scripts that we talked about today are going to be in the description below. If you felt like this was a help to you, please remember to subscribe and like this video. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I will do my best to respond to them. If there's something else you'd like to see in a video or a different style game you'd like to see me put together, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Until the next video, Roblox family, we appreciate you, and I thank you for watching.